There's a Trump party. The Republican Party is kind of taking a nap somewhere.
That was former House Speaker John Boehner declaring the Republican Party as he once knew it is gone, replaced by what he calls the Trump Party.
Taking a nap. Here to react to all this, former White House Chief of Staff and former RNC Chairman Reince Priebus. Always good to have you on, Reince.
Yeah, by the way, hey, it's nice to actually get you in front of the camera. You texted me yesterday because you were about to come on and you bailed on us, and I wanted to give you a little grief about that, but I understand you had a good excuse.
Well, when you get a text from the baseball coach at about 6 o'clock in the morning saying they're moving the game forward, by 2 hours because they wanted to beat the rain, you have to understand, it's been raining in Washington, D.C. for a month and a half.
Yeah, the swamp.
I apologize, but I really, texting Ed Henry at 6:45 in the morning is always.
That sounds like collusion.
You enjoyed that,
Sounds
right?
like collusion, right?
You got your priorities
He's
in the
a
right
dad
order, though.
first, so that's what.
Speaking of collusion, we have a Russian we can root for now in the Washington Capitals. It's like the only Russian that we can be happy about. In
NHL
America.
Stanley Cup. That's right.
That's right.
All right, Reince, what do you make of that quote there from John Boehner saying that the Republicans are basically taking a nap? I think he's actually speaking to a lot of the Trump supporters that felt when the president got into office, they didn't have his back. It wasn't like it was the Republican Party surrounding the president. It was the president oftentimes by himself.
Well, that may be true, but, without the Republican National Committee and without a president that was disciplined and on message and speaking to the American worker, I don't think we'd have what we have today. So you can never divorce that, and I'll always remind people that the actual party infrastructure was a huge part of that campaign. But as far as this issue is concerned, look, not since Ronald Reagan, and I'd say maybe even beyond Reagan, President Trump had a personality and a persona and a brand that's so unique, not just to American politics, but to the country, that he sort of owns this piece of real estate. And no matter how anyone wants to analyze it, look, the Republican Party is a big entity, but more than ever before, the Trump brand is a huge entity, and it intersects each other about 85% of all of the things that Trump and the party believe in. What I would challenge the Republican Party, though, is instead of debating whether or not Trump is the party or the party is Trump, to take the best of Trump, which I have always said from the very beginning, even when I was in the White House, just come on TV and say, if the Republican Party becomes the permanent party of the American worker, we will never lose a national election again. Since President Trump's been in office, we've added over 334,000 manufacturing jobs. That is President Trump's bread and butter. And of all the analysis out there this week about this great economy, I can tell you the one thing that the president has always been focused on is wage growth. Because he knows that if people start putting more money in their pocket, it is absolute Teflon politically and for solidifying his future. And so I would just say that in a nutshell is where the party needs to be.
Is John Boehner saying, hey, basically Trump has succeeded in merging the two, or is he tipping his hand that, hey, the Never Trumper movement's still out there? It may be on the side. We haven't really embraced this president yet.
I think it's a little of both, right? I mean, because you guys can watch this among Republicans as well, which is, there's a reluctancy, at least a little bit. I mean, there's like, a 10%, not much. There's a reluctancy to just admit the fact that under President Trump, we have had an incredible amount of prosperity. And I would challenge the president, start labeling it now. Don't call it the prosperity era, call it the Trump prosperity era, because that's really what will define President Trump. Now, he's got some big meetings coming up in Singapore, but of all the distractions out there and of all the things that, you can watch on television that the media likes to obsess about, the one problem the anti-Trumpers have, and people with grievances and other, is that at the end of the day, President Trump, under his policies, have been doing an incredible job.
All right.
No one can deny it.
Reince Priebus, Chief of Staff, Party Chair, husband, and dad.
Most importantly.
Right.
Thanks for coming in, sir.
Good to see you
bet.
this morning.
Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you. All right. Roseanne Barr, Samantha Bee, Joy Reid, all under fire for hateful rhetoric this week. They've all apologized. But should they be forgiven? Our interfaith is here to weigh in just ahead. It's a panel you don't want to miss.
Plus, have you seen this? A Democratic congressional candidate actually comparing the president to Osama bin Laden in a new campaign ad. We debate him. Pete does. Head on next.
After 9/11, the greatest threat to our democracy lived in a cave. Today, he lives in the White House. Dan Helmer, I approve this message. I'm different. I'm not a politician. I'm a Rhodes Scholar who served in combat. I'm for a Medicare for All option and against drug companies that rip off seniors. I'll fight the gun lobby to protect children, not guns. After 9/11, the greatest threat to our democracy lived in a cave. Today, he lives in the White House. No one, even the president, is above the law. Barbara Comstock has beaten every politician. I'm different.
You heard that right. A new Democratic campaign ad for a congressional race in Virginia, comparing the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to Osama bin Laden. Joining me now, the man behind the ad, Virginia Democratic congressional candidate, Dan Helmer. Dan, thanks for being here. A couple things.
Thanks for having me, Peter. I'm so excited to be on the show.
Of course. A couple things up front. You served our country in Iraq and Afghanistan. We thank you for that.
Thank you too, Peter. I know you
probably
also,
walked around a lot of the same places. Yep, totally.
I'm sure we did. Thank you.
That goes as a given no matter what. And also, we know you're running in a crowded primaries. You're trying to get noticed. I get that. It's politics.
Peter, I'm actually trying to talk
time,
about important messages.
No.
Right?
But obviously, an ad like this gets noticed. We're talking about it on the highest-rated cable morning show in America.
Well,
the question I have to you is, do you believe that Donald Trump is the moral equivalent of Osama bin Laden?
Well, I actually think, on 9/11, and my heart goes out to all of those we lost that day and their families. I was a cadet at West Point, and I knew I was going to be spending the next 2 years preparing to lead soldiers in combat. And I served combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I did it for a simple reason. I swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now,
okay, so I swore the same oath.
President Trump
you did, swore the same oath. The reality is, are you saying he is an enemy? Are you saying he's a domestic enemy? Because obviously, Osama bin Laden is a foreign enemy. We agree with that. We understand that. Are you saying that President Trump is a domestic enemy? That you're saying
I'm saying
enemies,
that
foreign and domestic.
I'm saying that the oath we took to defend the Constitution, I take seriously. This president doesn't. And one of the reasons I'm excited to be here on a show that I know that the president watches every morning is to make sure we deliver a message that change is coming, that no one, not even our president, is above the law.
But hold on,
and it's time to make sure that we have a Congress that holds him accountable. I'm tired of people who think we need to wait and see about a president who's violated our Constitution
Wait, so what is
and
he?
our
Okay,
laws.
because he fired Jim Comey and he says bad things about Bob Mueller. Let's be clear here.
Well,
you
no,
still haven't
let's be
answered the
clear.
original
No,
question.
the president,
Dan,
the
just help me
president
out
has
here.
violated the emoluments clause of the Constitution. He has done actions that obstruct justice. He has tampered with witnesses. He has violated campaign finance laws. Any one of these, he's engaged in conduct unbecoming of a president.
A equals B. Donald Trump is a terrorist.
I said that the greatest threat to our democracy right now is a president who refuses to uphold his oath to abide by our Constitution and defend it. I mean, we can see who his friends are. After I launched this ad, RT attacked me because they also helped him with the election.
Okay, so now we're going back to the Russians because they helped him with the election. Get it? It was not Hillary Clinton's fault.
This is what the Russians just did. The Russians just actually put out something in response to this ad saying they were defending President Trump because they wanted to see him
Russians can say whatever they want. We live in a world where they can say whatever they want, but you're still not going back to the original question. I'm standing on the island of Manhattan. You were at West Point. Other people were in those towers. We're not debating. We understand what happened.
We agree. Osama bin Laden's attack was abhorrent. I was willing to put my life on the line to defend us against that.
I got it. So did so many people. That's a good
line.
So it's very
true.
And
that's
so
many people died
for
that
now
because they care
office.
about our Constitution.
You say you're not a politician. You are now running for office. And when you run for office, you get scrutinized. And when you put an ad out that says Osama bin Laden, Donald Trump are the same thing, you have to defend that. Tell me, is there a difference between Osama bin Laden and Donald Trump?
They are. They are very different threats to our democracy.
Are they both enemies?
The gravest threat to our democracy today is a president who doesn't take the oath to defend the Constitution seriously. And you want to talk about that? Let's talk about the ad. Let's talk about a progressive patriotism that stands for making sure every American has access to quality affordable health care.
But you're also accusing your other candidates in the race of saying they're in bed with the NRA because they have different views of how to defend a school than you do. The Second Amendment,
let's
you can
be
have
clear.
different views on that.
Barbara Comstock has taken over $130,000 from the NRA. And so you can walk into a gun show in my district and walk out without a background check with an assault rifle similar to what you and I carried in Iraq and Afghanistan.
You did another video on that. I saw that. My point is here. You dig your heels in on a ridiculous comparison. You seem like a nice guy. You seem like a reasonable guy. You're a Rhodes Scholar. I've been to some good schools too. You're a smart guy. Got it. but you're digging your heels in on an argument that's untenable, and you're making yourself look bad. A progressive who says our president is the same as the guy who murdered 3,000 Americans, it's
I
not
did
a good
not
idea.
say that
it's
they
not
are
how
the same.
you
I
move a
said that he
debate
is a
forward.
threat to our democracy.